Hello, everyone. Welcome to How to Advance Your Career Without Burning Out. Today, I'm going to walk you through some of the most common pitfalls that smart, competent women find themselves in that holds them back from advancing in their careers without burning out. And I know this pitfall to be true because I have experienced them myself in my own career. Before I became an executive coach, I used to work at a hedge fund. And then later that, I worked at a tech startup and I burned out because I didn't know that this was what was happening. So my wish for you is that you'll be able to notice and bypass, sidestep the pitfalls so that you can spend more time on things that are 100% in your control. Spend more time doing the things that actually move your career forward, that helps you that helps you advance, get promoted, and better paid. And at the end of the webinar, you'll also get an opportunity to learn more on how you can work with me one-on-one. So I know some of you are eager to learn about that, so stay put. And also another administrative note, we have a lot to cover in an hour. So if you are somebody like me who loves to take like long, detailed, longhand notes, just know that you can just take a screen snapshot of my slide so that you don't have to copy it word by word, okay? And what else do I want to share? And we will do Q&A at the end. So at the bottom of your Zoom interface, you see the Q&A box. If you type in your questions there, I will get to them at the end of the presentation. So we'll make sure we get to all of your questions, okay? So let's get started. I've always wanted to do this. A very dramatic reveal. Hi, my name is Jamie Lee, and I have a personal mission to build $1 million coaching business that helps smart women get bolder, braver, promoted, and better paid. I specialize in working with smart women who hate office politics, and I help them get promoted and better paid without throwing anyone under the bus. I feel that this work, I've been set up for it all my life. The reason for that is because I am my mother's daughter. I'm an immigrant. I came here in 1987. I was just about to turn 7 years old, so you can guess my age. And my mother, who immigrated to America, we arrived at JFK only about 33 years ago. Oh, goodness. I feel old when I say that. But the point is, she raised the three of us by herself as an immigrant woman who, even to this day, 33 years later, she still speaks English a little bit worse than Margaret Cho's mom. If you don't know who Margaret Cho is, look her up on YouTube, or imagine Awkwafina. I'd imagine most people are familiar with Awkwafina. She was in Crazy Rich Asians. She was the comedian, the first Korean American comedian to come on stage into the public domain. And she used to do this hilarious impersonation of her mother's thick Korean accent, but she was still speaking English. And I would watch that in the early 2000s. I'd be like, wow, that's like my mom, except her English is better. My mom's English is even worse. And still, she raised the three of us, all daughters, by herself. She came here, she got divorced, and then she ran her own nail salon business, and she put all of us through college. And all throughout this time, she was telling me, Jamie, you got to speak up. You got to ask for what you want, right? Because getting promoted and better paid, it takes self-advocacy, asking for what you want. And at the time when I was a kid growing up as a latchkey kid was an immigrant, I didn't appreciate my mother's Monday morning quarterback style of coaching. She'd be like, did you ask for what you want? No, we should have asked for it. Because I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be the girl who got along with people. And I didn't want to be the aggressive one, the bitch, the one who makes waves. And it wasn't until I got into the working world, it wasn't until I was working at a hedge fund and I realized, oh, I'm making less than most people do, only because I didn't ask, only because I didn't know how to advocate for myself. And that was the moment the light bulb went off, and I realized I gotta learn how to do this. I gotta learn how to communicate, stand up for myself, ask for what I want, just like my mother had been telling me all my life. So long story short, I became my mother for other women. I am the woman who is always encouraging my women friends to, yes, go and ask for that raise, ask for that promotion, advocate for yourself. And I've also traveled before the COVID pandemic started. Last year, I used to travel all around and actually teach negotiation skills to women executives. And in this experience, I learned that, yes, tactics, strategies, they're abundant. There's so many different ways to just ask for what you want. But it wasn't until that, for me, it wasn't until I changed my own mindset. It wasn't until I learned how to develop self-confidence from the inside out that I was able to implement those strategies and tactics to confidently ask for what I wanted. And for that reason, I pivoted to become an executive coach who works with women one-on-one and helps them build the self-confidence as well as the self-advocacy skills so that they can grow and develop their careers and set themselves up for a growth trajectory for the long term. And in this process, here is something that I have seen, I have observed to be a fact all around the world. Thousands of women around the world, Asia, Africa, Europe, America, everywhere, Australia, Singapore, thousands of women around the world take too long to advocate for themselves. Instead, they overcommit. They overdeliver at work. They love to get things done. And so they keep putting on more. They say yes whenever they're asked, but they're also under-communicating their wants and wins. And this combination, overcommitting, over-delivering, under-communicating, the result of this combination is often burning out. And I've seen that for myself, and I've seen that in other women all around the world. And the question becomes, why? Why are so many women overcommitting, over-delivering, under-communicating their wants and wins? And at the end of the day, I think the answer is very simple. Advocating for ourselves feels uncomfortable. And so then we have to ask again, why? Why is self-advocacy and setting boundaries, saying no, and not overworking, why is that so uncomfortable? Here's what I know from my experience is that often when we think, oh, if I speak up and ask for what I want, they will think that I'm a bitch, or they will throw me under the bus. We associate self-advocacy with conflict, which is by definition, like a lot of people, not by definition, but a lot of people think that conflict is uncomfortable. And so this is a concept that has been, this is a concept from one of the I know how to speak English. One of the leading negotiation scholars, the person who helped to define win-win negotiation. His name is William Ury. He wrote Getting to Yes. And he also wrote the book Power of No. And in this book, he talks about the 3A trap, which is very often when we associate speaking up with conflict and we're uncomfortable with conflict. We avoid speaking up. We avoid addressing the conflict. And instead of having a conversation and addressing it, we accommodate the other person with whom we have conflict because we're just trying to avoid. but the underlying conflict doesn't get resolved. And so there's still resentment, and sometimes the anger just blows up and you end up attacking the person. But now you've attacked, now there's guilt, so now you avoid again, but out of avoidance, you accommodate. This is sort of like the flight, fight, freeze, fawn, the stress response, right? So the stress response, when it looks like inaction with conflict, is what it looks like. But how does this apply to women and how women show up in their careers? Let me show you. This is 3 of the most common pitfalls that I have seen in coaching thousands of women all around the world. Is that first, we think that advocating for myself, advocating for what I want, setting boundaries, it should feel comfortable. But comfort never arrives because we've been socialized to not be assertive. We've been socialized to be other-oriented, to take care of others ahead of us, right? And so, of course, self-advocacy feels uncomfortable, but when you think that it should feel comfortable, I should feel confident and comfortable is what so many people tell me, really they're falling into comfort fallacy because comfort never arrives. What do you do when you're in the comfort fallacy? You avoid speaking up. You avoid advocating for yourself. And at the same time, a lot of people tell me that they think the work should speak for itself. I shouldn't have to put my hand up and say, oh, I need more resources. They should know that. I shouldn't have to say I want a raise and promotion. They should just give it to me, right? I should just keep my head down, do good work, and somebody should reward me with a tiara. This is called the tiara syndrome. This is a concept by Carol Frolinger and Deborah Kolb, 2 women who are also negotiation experts. And they have observed that a lot of women, they put their head down, assume that just doing good work should be rewarded without them asking for it. So of course, when you're like, I shouldn't have to ask for it, I should just keep my head down, you accommodate the request for more work, for more commitment, more hours. You're like, okay, I'll do it. And then they'll see how much work I'm doing. And then you notice the tiara also never arrives because it doesn't work like that. You have to ask for what you want, right? Tiara syndrome is sort of an extension of the Disney fairy tale. It's a myth, it's a delusion, right? But we all been socialized, we've been conditioned to think that if we keep our head down and do good work, we will get rewarded because that's how we were treated in school. And at the same time, so notice this is like a cycle, right? Comfort fallacy, tiara syndrome, and also perfectionist fantasy is the 3rd most common pitfall, which is if I just do it right. So many women tell me, I need to know how to have that career conversation, and I need to know how to do it right. Or they're like, oh, if I meet that milestone, if I get this done, if I do it just perfect, if I don't make any mistakes, then I shouldn't have to ask for it. They'll reward me. That's perfectionist fantasy, because again, like comfort and the tiara, perfection also never arrives. And what often happens is that when women are in this perfectionist fantasy, they end up attacking themselves. Like we beat ourselves up because we're holding ourselves this impossible standard. Like this was totally me. All of us, it was uncomfortable to speak up and say, hey, I think I should be making 6 figures, not 50,000 in this analyst job. I was so uncomfortable, so I avoided it. And later in my career, I came up with this plan. I was going to save the company a lot of money, and I just kept my head down, and I expected they were going to reward me with a raise and promotion. It never came. But in the meantime, I was just like accommodating, right? Whatever you say, boss, I'll do it. And then I was holding myself to this impossible standard. If I do it just right, if I get a straight A, then I should feel comfortable and the tiara would come, which never did. So then I was beating myself up. And this is how I burned out. Yeah. And And the combination of comfort fallacy, tiara syndrome, perfectionist fantasy, usually it shows up like this. My career growth feels out of my control. It seems like it's in the hands of other people. It seems like it's in my boss's opinion of me, and it feels out of my control. And so then, of course, it's even more exhausting as you do the work. But let's just notice that these are all versions of lies. Fallacy, fantasy, syndrome, right? These are all lies that our brains tell ourselves so that we don't have to risk anything. It protects us from stepping out of the status quo and risking our emotion. So it's like a crafty way for our brains to protect us, even though in the long run, it doesn't serve us. What is the truth then? What is the reality? The truth, which I am here to tell you, is that there's a fourth A. Remember, there were three A's: avoid, accommodate, attack in the 3A trap. But there's the fourth A. You address the conflict. You have a conversation, an honest, open conversation about what you want. Even if the other side, they don't want the same thing, you have a conversation, you address it, you let it out in the open, right? In a mature and calm way. This is what leads to growth. This is what leads to growth professionally, personally, and in your relationships. And also self-advocacy. Our brains will lie and tell us that speaking up for ourselves is greedy, it's selfish, yeah? But the truth is, your self-advocacy is actually an act of service. Yes, when you advocate for yourself, you serve yourself first, of course. But let's notice what that truly is. It is stepping into your agency, your own willpower, your ability to make a decision and take an action for what you want. This is, in fact, an act of owning, stepping into your sovereignty. It is saying, I don't need someone else to crown me and place a tiara on my head. I'm a queen and I can put my own tiara on. This is what self-advocacy is. And when you do it well, in the way that I'm going to show you, your bosses will thank you. So many of my clients get thanked for asking for the promotion they want. The bosses say, I so appreciate how you advocated for yourself because it expands possibilities for me, for you, and other people who are following in your footsteps. It makes, the bosses say, the way you advocated for yourself, it makes my job easier because now I know how I can help you. I know who to promote. And also this sets a wonderful example for the other women who are looking to you for an example of what is possible. Truth is, your career is 100% in your control. This is the message that my life partner of 13 years, 12 years ago, when we were just dating, when I was burning out of my hedge fund job, he noticed that I was so unhappy and exhausted. And he turned to me and he said, you know, your career is in your control. You know that, right? And I just looked at him like, what? It is? I get to decide? Yes, I do. And yes, you do too, okay? And here's how I know this to be true, okay? The truth is, you do not need to prove yourself. So many women I have coached, almost all of them, the most competent ones, the most accomplished ones, the VPs, the directors, they tell me, oh, I need to prove myself. And it feels so pretty, it feels so logical, but when we really investigate that thought, that you need to prove yourself, even though you are in this position of leadership, even though you do have direct reports, even though you are generating results, that you still need to prove yourself, when we really investigate that thought, it is, wait for it, poison. Because the thought I need to prove myself creates pressure. And none of thousands of women I have coached have actually performed better when they pressure themselves. There's actually a book called Prime to Perform, and it talks about how you motivate people to outperform. And even there's so many scientific research that demonstrate that under emotional pressure, people underperform. And the thought, I need to prove myself, causes you to underperform. So you don't need it. You really don't. I'm going to tell you what you can do, what you can think in a minute. You also don't need more commitments. You don't need to deliver more. You don't need to pour more work onto your plate. You do not need to work past 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. You do not need to pull overnighters. You do not need to wait for the right timing to ask, to have conversations, to advocate for what you want, to set boundaries. You also, if you want to get promoted, you don't need a formal process for evaluation. You don't need a different boss. You don't need a different structure. I know this to be true because I have done it myself. I have seen that, oh, I have this thought, I think I need to prove myself, but wait, what if I don't need to do more? What if I don't need to commit more? What if I don't need to wait for the right timing? What if I just put my hand up and ask for what I want? And I did, and I got promoted. It happens, yeah? So I'm gonna tell you what you do need, okay? The things that are 100% in your control that you can start implementing today so that you can advance your career without burning out, okay? Really quickly, number one, you take stock. You assess your contributions. And number two, you decide for what you want. You decide for you. You decide for the future that you want. And then you have conversations, right? Self-advocacy happens inside conversations. Then you ask, you apply, or maybe you set boundaries in this section, yeah? You honor commitments to yourself. That's probably one of the most important things that you do to advance your career without burning out. And these steps, they build on top of each other, and that's why I have it in this order, but it doesn't necessarily have to happen in this particular sequence, okay? You can have conversations and then take stock and then apply. I mean, it can happen out of order, but I think conceptually, it really helps to understand how they build on top of each other. Okay, so let's walk you through the steps. Number one, you take stock, you slow down, you take a minute, and you assess your contributions. All of these steps are steps that I walk my clients through inside coaching. And of course, my clients, they love to get things done. So there's always the immediate benefit of having made a contribution, of having gotten something done. And often smart, competent, driven women, we tend to over-index on immediate, what next, right? So we gotta expand our perspective to think about what is the beyond benefit. What happens? What becomes possible because of the thing that I got done, because of my contribution? You always want to think about it from a bigger and neutral perspective. How does it benefit the stakeholders, the company, the clients? What becomes possible? And also you want to implement the friend hack. This is so good. Researchers at Carnegie Mellon and Stony Brook University found that when women prepare to advocate as if they're going to advocate for a friend, their negotiation outcomes significantly, quantitatively improved. Yeah. And so we're going to try, you can try the friend hack for yourself as you are taking stock, assessing your contributions, right? Notice it's not about doing more. It's just like, let's pause. What are we doing? And how is it impacting? How is it benefiting the organization, people at large? Take, for example, I coached a mechanical engineer who was really good at coming up with these like MacGyver-like hacks to create solutions for engineering problems. And for her, it was just like, It's just who she is. It's what she does. No big deal. It got done, right? But I'm like, okay, let's pause and let's think about the beyond benefit. What becomes possible because you did that? And she realized, oh, actually, what becomes possible is that now the CEO is able to go back to the investors and say, yeah, we got it done. We are a reliable company. We're able to meet our milestones. The company will be able to raise more money and have better credibility with its investors. So that is the beyond benefit. And so talk about the friend hack. My client's like, yeah, but it's not a big deal. I'm like, okay, but let's just pause and think about if these were the accomplishments of a friend that you like. Your friend came to you and was like, yeah, I came up with these solutions, and now the company is able to meet its milestones and raise money. What might you say about that? And she's like, oh, well, if this was my friend, I'd be like, she's a badass. Yeah, she is. So the reason why I think friend hack is so important is because when we are in the pitfalls, the perfectionist trap, tiara syndrome, comfort fallacy, we are biased against ourselves. So the friend hack is a way to correct that bias, unbias ourselves. This is important because you want to better understand and better articulate what is the true impact that you have now. I'm willing to bet money that 99% of the people on this webinar, like we all do this, we tend to underestimate our true impact. And when we do, we don't see our future potential. But this is what we have to be able to assess and articulate when we go to advocate for the advancement that we want. We want to be able to take in our own credit, give ourselves credit so that we can claim it in conversations. So what comes after that? Once you have taken stock, assessed your contributions, you want to make some new decisions. Remember, when you're in the pitfalls, we're making decisions to avoid, to run away, to avoid conflict and discomfort. But instead, we're going to make new decisions for where you want to go. You're here. This is your current self. Start here, right? And there's going to be an up and down, a winding journey. It's never a linear line, right? It's never just straightforward. Everyone's journey is like this, and it has obstacles, and you maneuver through them. And the end goal is that you want to achieve you, who is bolder, braver, promoted, and better paid. And I wrote North Star here because it's like meandering. It's kind of like getting lost in the woods. But as long as you have your eye on the North Star, even if the immediate next step is sort of murky and the step after that is unclear, as long as you're clear and you have your eye on the North Star, you're never lost. And this is how you make decisions for where you want to go, how you want to go, and who you want to be. It can be as simple as, I want to be working less hours. I want to be senior director of communication and marketing. I want to be a woman who is confident and has authority, who brings executive presence to conversations. That's all you need to know. And then when you have that idea, that vision becomes your North Star. And from there, you're able to ask, okay, I'm maneuvering through these obstacles to achieve my future self. And how would the future me handle this obstacle, right? How would the future me, who is bolder, braver, promoted, how would she prioritize her day, her tasks, her projects? How would she come up with strategies to overcome obstacles, overcome objections and pushback? How would she handle it? I just spoke with this woman who works in a nonprofit, and she said that she was just like hanging out with people, and she was at a social event, and people were getting rides, and she's like, oh, I'm just gonna take the subway. But then she realized, hey, I want to be director of fundraising, and how would a director handle this? the director would just ask for what she wants. So she went back and she asked for a ride and she got it, right? I know it's like such a small example, but it also applies to our careers. How would you handle those career conversations? How would you handle saying no and setting boundaries around your time so that you have better balance, so that you don't burn out? And how would you handle those conversations? And if you were channeling the woman that you're becoming. This is something that we do in coaching all the time. And every single time we do it, my clients are blown away by how they make goals that feel unrealistic at the end of it. When they channel their future self, they're like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. I got this. Yeah. From there, we have conversations. We leverage interdependence. No one person, no one employee, no one manager is an island. We are all either weak ties or strong ties. We are all connected to other people, junior analysts, senior managers, the founders, right? We're all connected, and we can have conversations starting with the people we already know and trust. And this is after having assessed your contributions and having made a decision about who you want to be. And now you can start having those intentional conversations with people you know and trust, and tell them, hey, this is what I'm contributing. This is the impact I'm bringing. This is who I want to be. What are your thoughts on that? How might I help you? How might you help me achieve that growth, right? Exploratory career conversation. And if you are going to have these conversations with your boss, you do it before the evaluation. You do it at least 6 to 12 months ahead of the formal evaluation. If you wait until then, the decisions have already been made, it's too late. So if you start engaging in these conversations now, you are setting yourself up for success for 2022. And do it before you're ready. Do it before you're ready. Remember, comfort never arrives. Perfection is a fantasy. Tiaras don't land on your head automatically. You do it before you're ready, and you start, letting people know, this is what I want. This is where I want to go. And even if you're not clear, even if you don't know exactly which title you want, as long as you have that North Star vision, you're able to engage in conversations and exchange value. Why? Because when you get on people's radars, senior leaders' radars, it helps them do their jobs better. My client who works in finance, she just had a performance evaluation discussion, and she's like, the manager doesn't know what I do. This is common. Managers are not evil, they're just busy. So when you have assessed your own contributions and you have decided where you want to go, it helps them do their jobs better. Ergo, self-advocacy is an act of service. And notice nowhere here are you putting more work on your plate. And finally, and this is kind of out of order, but you get promoted, you advance your career, not by what you know and who you know, it's about who knows you. And engaging in the strategic conversations set you up for success. Okay, how do you advance? How do you get promoted? You gotta ask. You gotta apply for what you want. And by the way, when you do, only 3 things can happen. And every single one of them are cause for celebration. You get a yes. Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I'm so glad you put your hand up, because we were looking for somebody who wanted to get promoted. And unless you ask, we don't know you want it, so we can give it to you. So thank you for asking. We're on your side. We're on the same side. This happens often with my clients, and it can happen for you too. But you can also get a no. And this too is a cause for celebration. I have a client who works in biotechnology, and she put her hand up. She applied for leadership position like 5 times, and 4 out of those 5 times she got no's. And it was great because she got to learn how to interview better. She got to learn what was missing. She got to learn how to position herself better. And every time she got a no, it was a sign that she was building her self-advocacy skills. Third thing, you get feedback. You hear your manager's thoughts. Sometimes you encounter pushback. Again, cause for celebration. When you get pushback, it's not a sign that you have to immediately capitulate and give up and put your hand up and say, oh, it's not going to work out. No, you can listen without conceding. Listening is not conceding. Engaging in this conversation is not giving up. You can be gracefully assertive. You can get curious, not furious, right? And you can do this when you make the thoughts not make it mean anything about you or your potential. And again, you can do it because you have done the homework of assessing your contributions. You are clear, you are solid, you are convicted in the value you bring. So when people give you pushback, you're like, oh, this is just information. I have a client, a software engineer. She asked for a promotion. She's the only woman in her team, and she got pushback. We don't think you're ready. We think we need to, well, let me correct the pronoun. The manager said, I think I need to see more technical skills from you. And she's like, well, okay, at first, but she did step number one. She assessed her contributions, and she's like, wait a minute. When I really assess neutrally my contributions, I am on par. I am exceeding my colleagues, right? And so instead of getting furious, she got curious. She engaged in a brave, open conversation with her boss. And she told him, hey, I've assessed my contributions and, I have decided, right? This is step number 2, decided I want to go for growth. And I think it's possible that you may be biased against me. I know it's not, you don't mean anything negative. You don't mean this to be personal, but I think it's possible that there's some unintentional gender bias. She was gracefully assertive without making it mean anything personal about her or him. And he said, I think you're right. I'm so glad you brought this up. This has been a really eye-opening experience for me. She got promoted 6 months ahead of schedule. So if it feels awkward, if doubt comes up, if anxiety comes up and you feel awkward about applying for the role, for the promotion, for the growth that you want, you're doing it right. Remember, our brains will lie to us. Sometimes they will be a dick. And it sounds funny, but it's normal. Brains do that, right? So you just do it. And when you engage in this brief conversation, even if it feels awkward, you are honoring commitments to yourself. Really important. You gotta be willing to say no. I think this is one of the most important things that's gonna help you advance without burning out. Be willing to say no and know that saying no is not a personal attack. It is not rejecting any one person. It doesn't have to create conflict. It is just a way you honor commitments to yourself and you choose courage over comfort. I say this because people pleasing can create fake comfort, right? Accommodating creates fake comfort. But we want real courage. Courage is uncomfortable. It's doing it awkward, doing it for your future self, doing it for that North Star vision of you, right? And in this process, as you honor commitments to yourself and you prioritize that above prioritizing other people, what they may or may not think about you, other people's emotions, which are never in our control, right? In this process, you build a skill of celebrating your wins, tiny ones, and little ones, and small ones, and big ones. We build a skill of self-validation. Right? We build a skill of honoring ourselves as divine queens of our careers, because that is who we are, right? And when we do that, we can advance our careers without burning out, because burning out really happens when we deprioritize ourselves and prioritize other people's agendas. So in summary, here's why this process works. Number one, when you take stock, when you assess your own contributions, you're able to build belief in the value you bring and articulate it in a compelling way, in a confident, authentic way, right? You're not faking anything, yeah? And this is what people want to hear from you. This is what they want to see from leaders. You make decisions for your desired future. You decide on your future you, your future self, make that your North Star. This is how you activate the self-confidence that you need to take action and take new action and go towards new direction, even before you have the evidence that you can. You have conversations, this builds trust. This builds trust within you, with you, and builds trust with others. It builds relationships. It lets people know who you are so you can get promoted without overworking. You ask, you apply, you build self-advocacy skills. You know that this is the step that gets people promoted, advancing their careers. The people who are more willing to put their hand up, ask, get it, right? You honor commitments to yourself. You build integrity as a leader. Everyone here is a leader, even if you only lead yourself. But if you want to lead other people, you can't do that unless you have integrity with yourself as a leader. Unless you're honoring commitments that you make to yourself, how can anyone else trust you to honor commitments with others, right? So advancing your career, getting promoted, getting better paid without burning out, you build these skills. You build a skill of articulating your value, activating your self-confidence, building trust, relationship, building self-advocacy skills, building integrity as a leader. Now that is the training. I want to give everyone here an opportunity to get started on these skill sets today. Because waiting to build these skill sets, waiting to implement this process is waiting to have the life and career that you want, is waiting to actualize your potential for greater income, greater impact. Worse yet, it's waiting to see the gender wage gap close. It's waiting for somebody else to give you, waiting for somebody else to make decisions for your career. We don't want that. We want you, the divine queens, to make decisions for you and honor it. And for that reason, starting on these skill sets today, not waiting, today is the single most important thing you can do for your career. I know there is so much progress to be made in terms of gender equality in the workplace. I know there's so much progress to be made in terms of closing the leadership gap, the wage gap, yes. But at the same time, there's never been a better time to be a woman who is a leader, a woman who leads, a woman who makes decisions, a woman who has integrity as a leader. Organizations are yearning, they're hungry for women's leadership. They really are. The world needs it. You know that to be true. And when you honor yourself, when you honor your desire to advance your career without burning out by building on these skill sets, you not only benefit yourself, your well-being, your health, which is your true wealth, you benefit your family, even if your family is just a pet ferret, even if your family is just a dog, right? And even if you have 4 kids, when you honor yourself this way, you are more available, you're more present, you're more alive in your free time with yourself, with your family. And of course, remember, self-advocacy is an act of service. You benefit the people, the folks who are following in your footsteps, people who are looking to you for an example. And you benefit organizations, you benefit communities. You know that when women rise, when women get promoted and better paid without burning out, companies benefit. The bottom line rises. You're the boat, and when the tide rises for everyone. I honestly believe, I know this to be true deep in my bones, that when women rise, the world benefits. My mother showed me this by her example, and I know my clients are doing that as well. My clients who are getting promoted, better paid, and having the balance to be available for their family and be able to give raises, award raises to other women, people of color. The world benefits when you do this as well. So as I said, I want to give you an opportunity to get started on these skill sets today. I want to give you an opportunity to guarantee your results. For that reason, I want to tell you about my coaching program. My coaching program is a 6-month executive coaching program designed for mid-career women who want to get promoted, and maintain or improve the quality of their lives at the same time. My 6-month one-on-one coaching program provides weekly accountability. Okay, this is kind of a misnomer, because what you really get is an opportunity to hold yourself accountable. You get an opportunity to improve your self-accountability, because I can't make you do anything, but when you hold yourself accountable, when you honor commitments to yourself, you improve your leadership. And you will be supported all the way. This is why it's 6 months. You get supported all the way so that you stay on track all the way to tangible results, like getting promoted, getting better paid. You get an unbiased perspective from a self-advocacy leadership expert who knows this process in and out, who has seen it work, and who has failed plenty of times to know that this works. In this coaching program, you get 100% confidential, safe space that is only designed for your professional and personal growth. Now, before you make a commitment, I want to give you an opportunity to get on a one-on-one, totally confidential, safe consultation with me. I want to give you an opportunity to see for yourself that this coaching will be a slam dunk fit for you. So you should have gotten an email by now, most of you, with a link to book your consult, or you can go to calendly.com/Jamie Lee, JAMIELEE/consult, and book your complimentary 60-minute one-on-one conversation with me in the month of November. In this conversation, you will get guided through an intake process. I got you. And what we will do, I will ask you questions about where you are, where you want to go, so that we custom fit this 5-step process, right? It's like haute couture. You're gonna make sure it fits you like a glove for your specific needs, for your specific situation. So at the end of it, you know you have a customized solution that works for you to create the result that you want in your career. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is really for mid-career women who want to get promoted. If that is you and you want to get supported to implement this process with expert support, book your consult today. Okay, so I will now open the floor up for questions. So go ahead and click on that Q&A box, pop in your questions. And thank you, Kim Chuk. She says, I love the tiara appearance. Yes. My own coach bought me this. Nice comic element. This has been incredibly smart and helpful. I really received that. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to hear that you found this helpful. And again, you can start implementing this 5-step process right away. taking stock, making decisions for where you want to go, having conversations, applying, right? None of it is about adding more work onto your plate or overworking, okay? And honoring commitments to yourself. Okay, major career changes. What is my general advice for major career changes mid-career? My advice is to follow your gut, to trust yourself. That is my big and general advice. I have made many major career changes in my career thus far. And each step of the way, I have encountered pushback from people around me who love me, who think the best of me. And at the same time, we're like, oh, are you crazy? But each time I just had to follow myself, my gut that told me if I stay here, I'm going to be so unhappy that I'm going to ruin my health. I generally don't feel joy and connected in this role. I had to trust that more than I trusted the people who love me, but gave me advice to do otherwise, right? So general advice about making major career changes, trust yourself, trust that little inkling that you have in your gut, like listen to your body. That's my advice. Honor commitments to yourself. Okay. So Alex asks, do I have any additional tangible strategies or examples to share for how to advocate for yourself? Yes, I want to tell you about my client, Sarah. My client, Sarah, she did everything in the process. She assessed her contributions and she built belief in the value that she was bringing by bringing a bigger perspective and seeing, oh yeah, as a product marketing manager, I'm doing work that impacts the bottom line. I'm creating possibilities for the company that never existed before. This work is important and valuable. And then she decided that she wanted to become promoted. And then number 3, she had conversations with her manager. She had conversations with her skip level manager. She had conversations with other people that she knew and trusted. And she learned more about the promotion process. So now she had knowledge, she had conviction, she had self-confidence. And then she applied, she formally put together, that was step number 4, she formally put together a promotion packet and submitted it. And then she was told that, oh, maybe you need to demonstrate more XYZ skills. She got pushback that maybe she needed to prove herself, right? Sometimes you think the thought, sometimes other people offer you the thought that you need to prove yourself. And it was so easy. It would be so tempting to give in to that pushback and say, yeah, I need to prove myself. I haven't done enough. Yeah. Instead, she honored her commitment to herself. Number 5, right? She's like, no, I have assessed the contributions. I have belief. I have conviction. I have done the heavy lifting. So instead of overcommitting, instead of putting more work to prove that she was ready for the promotion, she said, no, I have done the heavy lifting. I'm ready to be promoted. This is it. So she did not do more work to add to the promo case. And she was promoted. So I think if there's anything unclear about that, let me know. But here, that is a clear example of how the process can work in your effort to advocate and get promoted. It would have been really tempting to get burned out in the process, but she did not do that because she implemented the process. Excellent question. Thank you. So if you have any questions, or if you want to know how you can implement this process for you, you want to know how this process can work for your specific situation, book a consult today. And if you're interested in getting expert support so that you can get promoted and better paid without burning out, book your consult today. And it's so good to see you, Alex. It's so good to see you, Kim Chuck, and Anonymous attendee. Thank you, Jamie. You're welcome, Anonymous. very informative and encouraging. I have to run to my next meeting and I will book my consult. Excellent. You will book your consult for November. Excellent. I will see you then, Anonymous. So what happened? This is such a good one. Oh, I love it. Anonymous asks, what happens when you are met with anger from your manager at raising your hand to advance? Such a great question. You will encounter all sorts of reactions. Sometimes people will get angry. Yeah. And what happens is that you have a choice when you are encountering this angry response. You have a choice to respond by either reacting to the anger and getting angry or defensive yourself, or getting curious, right? Curious, not furious. And you have the choice to meet that anger with like, hey, your anger is created by what you're thinking about my asking, which is just a neutral event. And you can get curious about what they might be thinking that is creating their anger. If you are met with anger, it can mean nothing about you, because people have all sorts of thoughts, patterns, past experiences, filters, unconscious bias that results in a particular emotional response. You may have had something to do with that, and you may also have had nothing to do with that. So again, what happens is that you have an opportunity, you have a choice to meet that angry response with curiosity. And when you do that, this is something that is called tactical empathy, and Chris Voss talks about it in his book, Never Split the Difference. You could just notice and create space where you allow that anger and to say, hey, I noticed that you're very angry. It seems to me that this is bothering you, right? And so you can notice it, address it, label it without making it your fault or blaming anyone else for them having anger. And from there, you can have a conversation, right? So great question. If you are met with anger, does not mean that something has gone wrong or that you did something wrong. It is an opportunity to get curious. Excellent question. Okay, you're welcome, Cynthia. Okay, so it's been my great pleasure. Again, if you are a mid-career woman who wants to get promoted and you want to advance your career without burning out, I invite you to book your consult today before I run out of availability. I know there's quite a lot of people here, and I think it will be amazing if you and I can meet and have a conversation while this information is still fresh in your mind. And so again, I invite you to book your consult today. Here's what's going to happen. And if at the end you decide that there is a fit, you can be supported to make a decision. But if it's not a fit, it's okay. It's all right. So I look forward to speaking to you all. If there are no more questions, we'll wrap it up. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. I would love to. Okay, somebody posted something. You're welcome, Stacy. Thank you, everyone, for your amazing attention. Remember that we are all divine queens in our careers. You are. Go and put your own crown on. Go ask for that promotion you want. Get promoted and tell me about it. All right. Bye-bye.